Question of the day. What do you think is more important in pickleball? Technique or mindset? So how you play the game or how you approach the game mentally? Let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear what you think. Hey guys, Barrett here. Welcome back to another video. Well, Hurricane Beta has hit the Texas coast, and here in Dallas, 6 hours north, the outer bands are randomly dumping rain on us. So it's been a rainy couple of days, which means the courts have been wet, which means I can't record videos. So today I thought I would do something a little bit different. I'm outdoors here and I want to talk about mindset. Now, I know that mindset videos can be kind of hit or miss for people, but I want to talk to you about one mindset principle that is huge, and I think a lot of people are missing it or understandably avoiding it. And I'm going to take some personal examples here. Typically I don't go into personal examples because I don't like talking about myself on my channel and on my content and so on, but this video is a little bit different. So the mindset principle that I'm going to be talking about here, and one that I think is really going to help, is this concept of constantly moving yourself and pushing yourself in the direction of what makes you the most uncomfortable, basically. Now, we've all heard the cliche, get out of your comfort zone. You hear that a lot, but I really don't like that term. First of all, everyone knows it, and it's like, yeah, okay. But it doesn't really nail it down the right way. I think there's a comfort zone, a discomfort zone, but probably somewhere kind of right in the middle, right? We want to get into the discomfort zone. And so what I don't say get out of your comfort zone, because you can just kind of get out of your comfort zone a little bit, like you're out, right? It's kind of like when you see these pictures of kids when their parents say, go outdoors, right? Or if you want to play on your phone, go outdoors and play, and you see them laying like half outside, half inside, right? It's kind of like that, future lawyer kind of stuff. But this principle has guided me over the last 6 or 7 years, and it has proven to be extremely effective. It was early 2014. I went down to Chile for 3 months. I participated in this entrepreneurship boot camp down there, and there were a whole bunch of other people from foreign countries all over the world, and I was a foreigner down there, and it was really uncomfortable. It was a bit scary at times, but as I pushed myself into that discomfort zone, it got easier and easier to deal with. And I ended up having a lot of fun, and I ended up learning a lot, this principle included. And so pushing yourself into the areas where you are the most uncomfortable is how you actually change and how you actually improve. And people just don't do it. I mean, most people they don't change, they don't improve, they're just kind of in this content zone. And you know what, that's okay. If people like being in that area where they're just totally content, they've got everything they want, they're just fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're watching these videos, then you want to improve. And if you want to improve, you must go to where you are the most uncomfortable, because that way lies growth. Okay, just to take a personal example here. About 2 years ago, I started YouTube. A little over 2 years ago. And that was horrible. I was so nervous. I was so anxious. It was terrible. I was so uncomfortable. But I knew that I had to do it, right? I had this mindset principle in my head, and I knew that the principle would work. I knew the mindset was correct, and so I forced myself to do it. My first video was a grip changing tutorial that I did, with my paddle wall thing, and I was so nervous about the whole thing, but that's the battle, right? That's the struggle. So I'm not like a huge Star Wars fan, but I certainly enjoy the movies, and I certainly enjoy the themes, especially this, good versus evil, order versus chaos kind of battle. And the one thing that the Sith say in the movie is that the Jedi are arrogant and blind, right? And I think they're absolutely right, because in the prequels, the Jedi have it the good way. They have it in that content zone, right? It's all Jedi. There's no Sith, right? They're not even around, all that sort of stuff. But they think that Anakin is going to bring balance to the Force, right? They think that they're going to get rid of the Sith, which to them is balance, but that's not true. In order to have balance, there has to be the Sith, right? So that's what Anakin was doing. He was bringing it back to neutral. Arguably, I guess. I'm sure there's some Star Wars scholars that could, prove me wrong, and that's totally fine. But that's the way I look at it. And it's the same way with this principle, that if you really want to improve and you really want to change your game, you have to have this struggle in your life. You have to have this chaos versus order stuff going on. But it actually requires you to make the steps to get out there and do it. And that's really the trick to this whole thing. It's not about diving in and just living in a constant state of anxiety, right? That's not really going to do you much good. But it's also not the other way as well. It has to be this battle, this constant pushing yourself into the chaos, right? And so you can almost look at it as as two factions like warring against each other, right? You have the border, you've got the blue territory and the red territory, right? And you've got that white border right in the middle. And so if like one faction moves in and gains territory to where the border is further up, well, that old territory is no longer mired in conflict and mired in chaos, right? Well, the same thing works with improvement. If, for example, you're really nervous about playing in a tournament, let's say you want to play in like a 3-0 tournament, let's say it's like 3-0, 35 plus or whatever, and you're so anxious about it. No, I don't want to do that. I'm going to make a fool of myself. I'm going to miss the ball, and people are going to, dude, that's a sign that you need to go and do it. And then when you go and do it, you'll feel like you're on the battlefield, and you'll feel that struggle, and you'll feel that tension and all the anxiety and everything. But as you continue to do it, and as you continue to grow, that old stuff no longer feels uncomfortable anymore. You've pushed so far beyond it. And then you look for the next thing. And it never stops, by the way. This battle never stops. Since starting YouTube two or 2.5 years ago, I don't feel any less anxious. I mean, I guess I do at times, but if I really push myself with a video and really kind of put myself out there, there's a little bit of anxiety, but that's what's required for growth. So here's some just practical advice to try to put this to use. With your pickleball journey, whatever it is, this could be social, it could be a technique thing, it could be tournament like nerves and stuff like that, playing with people that you admire, challenging yourself with higher level play, stuff like that. It could be something where your rec center has a challenge court, right? And you're like, I don't think I'm good enough to go over to the challenge court. This is a perfect example. So pick 3 areas of your journey of your pickleball life. Pick 3 areas and then focus on one. Focus on one and push yourself into that uncomfortable zone. And look, the feedback mechanism with this is super, super simple and easy to understand. If you're trying to push yourself in this way and you're trying to dip into that kind of uncomfortable area, if you don't feel anxious and you don't feel nervous about it, it's not good enough. You're not pushing yourself hard enough. This also works with technique. So for example, I don't have a racket sport background. I certainly don't have a tennis background. So I can't do the two-handed backhand. If I were to try to do the two-handed backhand, it has to feel uncomfortable, and it will naturally, right? But let's say I'm trying to do like a forehand roll or something like that. I mean, I've got a forehand roll, but let's say I didn't know how to do a forehand roll. It must feel uncomfortable doing it, right? So if you're with an instructor and they're teaching you how to do this stuff, if it doesn't feel uncomfortable, if it doesn't feel totally crazy and nuts to you, then that means you're not changing. That means you're not pushing yourself far enough. And that is where real change and real growth comes from. Again, I've used this principle over the last 7 years, and it's the thing that helps me to break through the fear barrier right? I mean, when you make it work for the first time and you've realized that it works for that first time, fear really no longer bothers you because you know that the principle will take you through it. And I think that's really the power. But you got to do it for the first time, right? You got to get that experience first and foremost. So just, again, pick 3 areas, focus on one. A really popular one is like a challenge court, or playing with people who are higher level than you, or playing in a tournament. Like, as an example, one thing that would make me feel very uncomfortable would be to play in like an open singles kind of thing in a tournament. I mean, I would probably get eaten live, you know, but that's what would push me in that direction, you know, playing more open bracket tournaments, you know, instead of playing skill age, you know, kind of stuff. So try that out. Move yourself into that discomfort zone. Drop yourself in there and see how it feels, but don't go crazy at first. Again, don't like dive so deep that you can't get out. Just dabble in it and see what happens. Guys, thanks for joining me in this video. I will be back to normal on-court videos next week once this hurricane kind of rain has passed. So thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.